Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to have a little quick guide on how cannons work in naval action. Now, naval action is a game I covered a few videos back. And I keep seeing quite a few questions from newcomers to the game asking about basic mechanics, how things work when they're starting out. So I thought I'd do a quick tutorial, or quick guide I guess, of how the cannons work in naval action. This is definitely not geared towards veterans, they'll know this already, and this will be very basic, just to get people kind of started in the game with the cannons. There are four main types of cannon in naval action: medium guns, long guns, carronades and mortars. Now, medium guns and long guns, and also carronades, have a few subclasses like the mediums have Congreves, Bloomfields, navy guns are long cannons, and abusers, if I'm pronouncing that right, come under carronades. Now they're kind of specialised. We won't really go into those too much because they get very expensive, but I will show an example of some of them. With each of the cannon groups there's also different weights of guns. The smaller ships can obviously only use the lighter guns, whereas when you get to the later multi-deck ships they can usually use a mix depending on what deck the gun is based on. So mediums, they start off at £2 and go up to £42. Longs start at 4 and go up to 42. Carronades start at 18 and go up to 68. So we'll first go over the medium guns, as they're going to be the first guns you come across in the game. They're the most common and the cheapest there is. I guess you would call these your average guns. They got average accuracy, average range, average penetration. They do have a couple of standout things now. Their reload time is good, so you tend to get a bit better DPS with these than the long guns. And now with the new gunpowder mechanics in the game, these actually use slightly less gunpowder than the long guns. So they're cheaper to use. You get slightly higher DPS with them, but you just got to be a bit more precise with your shots to make sure you don't bounce. Now you'll see some bounce in the video that's playing in the background, because it's very important to angle your ships correctly. If you angle correctly, you can bounce shots, and it helps a lot. Of course, it's good for the enemy to bounce off you, but it's not good for you to bounce off the enemy. Before, it would just be you do less damage, but now it costs you more money because each shot you fire uses gunpowder. Okay, on to long guns. I guess you could call these your accurate guns. They're really accurate, they got good range, they got really good penetration. The downside is that they're a bit slower to reload, so you get less DPS than the mediums. But obviously a better chance of penetrating the ship, which is kind of the main thing with them. They're also good at taking down enemy masts at range. Because they're more accurate, it's easier for you to hit them. I would say long guns are probably going to be the guns you go for once you've established yourself and you got lots of money built up, lots of gunpowder and ammo and stuff like that. Because they do use a bit more gunpowder, but at the end of the day, it's a bit more forgiving because you can penetrate much easier. Obviously you hit at longer ranges without bouncing. Yeah, they're the ones most people go for in PvP, that's for sure. Next up are carronades. So these are really high caliber weapons. They do a lot of damage, and they do extra damage to crew as well, but they're not very accurate and they don't have great penetration values, and they're also not very good at range. So these are really good for brawling. So if you want to get up close to board ships or do a lot of damage, these are the ones to go for. They use up a lot more gunpowder, so they cost a bit more to shoot. But if you're up close, you do extra damage, and it helps you take out the crew, making it easier for you to board. The ship I'm in at the moment is armed with 32-pound carronades, because I was using it to capture other ships. So it's good to kind of get the hull down on the ship quite fast. And then you can change to grape shot and just kill a load of crew with the carronades. And then the last type you get are mortars. Now these are very specialised, so you don't really see them often. They're basically used in port battles to destroy forts. There is only one ship in the game I think that can use them, at least that I'm aware of, and that's the mortar brig. You can hit ships with them, it's very, very hard. And you will do a lot of damage, but yeah, it's super hard to hit ships with the mortars. They are designed to hit the forts. So yeah, there's not much to talk about those really. That's just all they're used for. Now I'll quickly just compare some cannons on the screen before we have a look how you go around equipping cannons on the ships. So I put up on screen the 6-pound medium, 6-pound longs, 6-pound Bloomfields, 6-pound navies, and 32-pound Carronades. Now the Bloomfield and Navy, they're special long guns. But yeah, this gives you an idea of like how much damage they do, how fast they reload, the penetration values at the bottom at different ranges. And as you can see, you know, the longs are clearly the best at penetration at long ranges. The Carronades are terrible. They're just close range fighting weapons. So yeah, hopefully this kind of gives a little idea of what the different guns do. Next I want to take a look at kind of what it's like at equipping your ship with the cannons, because some people are not quite sure and it's not quite clear in the menu of what to do. We'll take a look at one of the biggest ships in the game, the Victory. This is a first-rate ship. It's got 3 main decks and then a top deck as well. So we'll see now in a minute how the cannons are kind of laid out per deck. So on the left-hand side here, you can see you got lower, middle, upper, and top decks. Now within these square boxes, it tells you how many cannons you can have and the kind of what kind of weight you can have. So the top line is guns. That is how many guns you can fit on the deck. Now you have to fit exactly that amount. You can't be less, you can't be more. The second row down is guns. Basically the weight of the guns that you can fit onto the ship, onto that deck, sorry. So the bottom deck can take 9-pound to 42-pound cannons. And then when you look at the middle deck, that can take 9-pound to 24. Upper deck can take 4-pound to 12 pounds. And then the very top deck is a bit special because that's got carronades as well. So you can either fit cannons, so anything from a 4-pound to a 12-pound, or you can fit carronades, which are basically 12 to 68 pound. Now again, that top line is the amount of guns you can have, and you have to fit that amount of guns in there. You can't be less, you can't be more, and that's where some people kind of fall over. They try to fit a bit less because that's all they could afford, and it just doesn't work, and they get, you know, it doesn't tell them why it doesn't work, it just doesn't fit. So that's it. You've got to have the exact amount of guns, and the G is the type of cannons it can fit, and the C is the type of carronades it can fit. We'll take another quick look at a different ship here. One of the ships that I've actually got armed with cannons already, and we look at kind of removing and fitting cannons onto the ship. As you can see, I've only got mediums fitted to this ship, but it's fully decked out with medium guns across all its decks and on the bow and stern. And what we'll do is we'll just remove, I just got to make some space in my warehouse is a bit full. So yeah, I'll remove these and I'll split it so we can see what it's like trying to fit the weapons on if you don't have enough. So you see here, I'm going to just drag 13 over to that slot, and it doesn't do anything, it doesn't give you an error message, it just pops back into your inventory, and that puts a lot of people off. So yeah, what it is, you've got to fit the exact amount, and then that's it, it'll fit in properly. Same with the other ones as well, the lower, middle deck, upper deck, the bow and stern, they've always got to be the exact guns. So one last thing to note, I guess, is this a new system, is the gunpowder. When you hover over the cannons in your inventory here, it'll actually give you the stats of how much gunpowder it uses. It's good to use that to kind of gauge how much gunpowder you want to take with you. You can say, hey, I got 20 guns here, uses 4 gunpowder per shot, so I'm going to take, you know, I want to be able to do 10 broadsides, so I'm going to need this much gunpowder. That's the easiest way of working it out. There we go, that's kind of a basic guide to cannons in the game. Like I mentioned at the start, this isn't for veterans, this is just for new players who are just jumping into the game, who don't know what the different types of cannons are or what they should use. Generally starting out, I would stick with mediums. Once you get used to it, maybe you want to do some boarding, change over to carronades, but they cost a bit more to fire, so yeah, budget well for them. Generally, this isn't a naval action channel. I just wanted to help out a bit because a lot of the tutorials are getting quite old now. I may do some more tutorials, I don't know, but generally I'm just playing through my Steam library because I got a lot of games I've never played. So if you want to see more like this, or more games, please like and subscribe. Thanks, and see you in the next one.